Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Opposition Report. Ahead of our game against Leyton Orient at the weekend, I am joined by Dave. Dave, how are we doing today?
All good, all good. How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Looking forward to being back at home. It's been a while since I think it was 30th of August last time we played at home, so it would have been a good few days in between. Let's crack straight into it. Leyton Orient, you're currently sitting 14th on 11 points. How's the start of the season been in your eyes?
To be honest, I am quite happy. Like we're sort of lower mid-table, but we obviously lost the playoff final back in May. We overperformed last season, so I think we were all like pleasantly delighted to get to the final. As a playoff final defeat goes, it was the least worst one I've experienced, having had a few. In that, we didn't really ever expect to get there. And we were edged out by a really strong physical Charlton team in the end. And it was a real shame because we did lose a lot of players in the summer that I think would have stayed had we gone up. So we've brought in a lot of new players. Therefore, that's why it's a very long answer, but that's why I'm perfectly happy with our start. We've had a big turnover. It's going to take a while for those players to gel, and we're on more points now than we were at this point last season. So, I think personally, and I think most Orient fans would agree, I've got a lot of faith in Richie Wellens to put it all together in time. So we've just got to be patient with them. So yeah, decent start, I think. Like nothing spectacular, but it's fine.
I was going to mention the playoff final because, as a Reading fan myself, I have sadly experienced a good few playoff final defeats, and there always seems to be a bit of a hangover. I remember the year we won the championship, we lost the playoff final the season before, and I think we were bottom of the league, and there was this real hangover after we had lost. So, from your point of view, I'm guessing there's still that playoff hangover, but you're, as you said, happy to be in 14th on 11 points. Wins over Wigan, Plymouth, and Port Vale. Wigan and Plymouth have obviously started quite well themselves. Were you at any of those games? What were those wins like?
So Wigan, we played really well. We deserved it. Plymouth, it was a good old battling sort of Tuesday night win. Port Vale was absolute theft. We did not deserve to win that game in any way, shape, or form. But we sort of Charlie Wellens, who I'm sure you would be aware of, with you guys last year, he popped up in sort of the 95th minute to get an absolute smash and grab win. We also did play very well against Stockport. We came back from two down against them to get to all draw, which was an excellent performance. And we got a good point against Bolton on Saturday. So those have been the good bits, but then we've also had a few hammerings. Huddersfield took us apart, Mansfield took us apart. So we are inconsistent, I would say, at this point of the season.
Was it, you mentioned it was a good point against Bolton there. Obviously, you conceded in the last minute in the last game. Was it 2 points dropped in your eyes, or was it more sort of we'll take the point because weren't really in the game, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt like a fair point. We had a couple of walking wounded in the second half, and Bolton were, a threat all through. Even Richie, who's, doesn't like to give up sort of plaudits easily. He said it was a completely fair result. So it's one of those. Technically you'd say it's 2 points lost because of its 94th minute, but it was a cracking goal they got to do it, and it felt like they deserved it. Like it wasn't unfair at all. So yeah, fair result that one.
We'll talk about your transfer business quickly because the window, is shut a few weeks ago now, but there's been some decent names come through the door, a few of which Reading fans will recognise. The names that stand out to me: Idris El Mazouni, uh, Aaron Connolly, and Demi Mitchell. How much have you seen of those guys so far? Has there been one standout signing? I saw Josh. I don't. I think I mentioned Josh Koroma. Josh Koroma's your top goal scorer as well at the moment, who you bought in the summer. Who kind of stands out to you so far?
So yeah, we're very lucky. Well, I suppose it's a combination of luck, and I'm sure this was a factor of what Richie Wellens and Martin Ling were aiming for. But we're very lucky that Idris El Mizouni and Josh Koroma, of course, played for us before. So while they're new signings, they have both slotted straight back in. Idris was on loan with us for 2 years from Ipswich and was a absolute fan favourite. He's such a class player, and he's just come back in, slotted straight in as if he's never been away. And Josh Koroma has come back, and to be honest, he's better than he was. He got us up from the conference and then went off to Huddersfield and by all accounts, actually, I spoke to a Huddersfield fan when we were up there towards the end of last season, and they said, he basically said, oh, we're having a big clear out. We think everyone's going to go, but actually, the one I would keep is Josh Koroma. He's done very well for us, but he went in the clear out they did. So Huddersfield's lost our game because he's been fantastic. I mean, he's set up loads as well as scoring. So they've been the two standouts. Tommy Simkin in goal has done very well for us. We had Josh Keeley on loan from Spurs last season, who became a bit of a cult hero when he kind of turned our season around, scored in the 99th minute of an FA Cup game, came up for a corner, and that was the turning point of our season. We never looked back after that. So it was a shame he joined Luton. But we were kind of, I was a bit worried about getting a replacement, but Simpkins come in and touch wood and all jinxes ahead of Saturday. He's been excellent so far. So they've kind of been the key ones for me. Aaron Connolly, yes, he's looked very, very good. And if we can kind of keep him fit, keep him happy, he's ultimately, by all accounts, like a Premier League player by pedigree. He's just lost his way, I believe, from what I know in the last few years. But I feel like if any manager's going to sort him out, it's going to be Richie Wellens. And also with the added thing of Martin Ling, our director of football, he's been through a lot in personal issues and coming through the other side of it and things like that. So fingers crossed. I think if we can get him purring, then he's going to be a massive player for us. He's already looked great. His one problem is he's almost trying too hard at the moment. You can see he's so eager to impress. He sometimes, snatches at shots or shoots when he should pass. But I feel like it's going to come.
Three names that running fans will be very familiar with. First of all, Michael Craig, who played a very prominent role last season and a decent role the year before, played in sort of midfield and at right back for us. Don Ballard, who was on loan at Reading for it was around 3 months in the end until he unfortunately picked up an injury at Wycombe away. And Charlie Wellens, who never actually made a first team appearance, but everyone was sort of aware of him throughout the 21s. We'll start with Michael Craig, because I'm sure all Reading fans will be keen to know what's Craigie been like so far and where's he been playing? Has it been in holding midfield or has it been at right back?
It's all been a right back so far. He didn't start the season. He kind of came in after a couple of games. He just looks very solid, gets forward well without being a racing fullback or anything, but he just looks a really solid player to me. He looks, that's what you want from your fullbacks. I hope in time, we obviously had Ethan Galbraith there last year, who was phenomenally good for us. And he kind of played a role where he would play right back, but he would often just bring the ball in and become an extra midfielder. And I feel that's where Michael Craig could end up really being useful for us. But time will tell. And Don Ballard has only just joined us. And as you say, he's had a lot of injuries, which is basically the only concern, because otherwise his pedigree looks great. The couple of games he's played, he's looked superb, but it's about keeping him fit. And that's probably why he's with us and not higher up. Is kind of those concerns. But that's what you have to do as a League One team. I think you have to take the occasional gamble on these players and hope it all works out. And then yes, Charlie Wellens he's a really interesting one. We obviously were aware of him because of his dad, and he came in and played some friendly games, I think it was, and then he's coming on a short-term deal, but he's kind of come in and just popped up with a winner, and he scored a goal in the Football League Trophy as well, which was he scored a free kick, cracking goal, and he looks really good all round. It's interesting being the manager's dad. How that dynamic affects things. Although Richie's been he was very touchy about it the other week in an interview. He's like, people should stop going on about it. And, he's treated like any other player, which I'm sure he is. But, it's still an interesting dynamic. It has to be. But to be honest, he's been fully worth his contract. And to be honest, I'd probably have him very, very close to starting sooner rather than it seems. He's been mainly substitute so far.
So if we look at your transfer business overall, and if you had to sort of grade, because obviously you lost quite a few of your loanies, Jack Curry, Jamie Donnelly, as you mentioned, Josh Keeley as well. If you had to grade your overall business in A, B, C, D, E, what would you give it so far on your incomings and your outgoings?
Oh, that's it's a difficult judgment to make this early. But I'm gonna back my own judgment here because this time last year we had a shocking start. We lost our first four games, um, but we looked. Me and my friends, we looked at the players we brought in. It was like, well, while it's not gelling and we're not getting results, I can see that player is an upgrade on last year. I can see that player's got something about him. That player's an upgrade. And I think we all felt it would come together. And then obviously it did, way, way better than we ever expected. And yeah, I've got a feeling, again, I may, look very, very stupid in about 6 months' time, but I've got a feeling it's going to happen again. I've seen enough quality from the players that have come in to think that we are going to be on a par or better than last year. It's a question of gelling and it's a question of patience. Not every player is gonna get to the top level at the same pace. But for instance, player I haven't mentioned as well, Jack Morehouse. We got him on loan from Manchester United, and he already looks more comfortable than say Jamie Donnelly did last year. And look at how well he ended up playing for us. He was amazing by the end of the season. And Morehouse looks, I really do rate him. He's once he gets the ball and starts running it, he sort of effortlessly glides through a defence. And not to put pressure on him, but yeah, if he can be anywhere near as good as Jamie Donnelly was last year, then we'll be laughing. So yeah, I'm going to give it an A minus because I think it's an A, but we're not proved yet.
That's fair enough. Let's move on to the game on Saturday. What formation are we expecting Richie to go with?
So we've been quite. Last year we were very much 4-3-3 all the way through. If we were playing, one of the top, say, Birmingham or whatever, we would maybe line up with three at the back to give us a bit more stability. This season we've been quite fluid. And Richie kind of has explained. It's basically he doesn't feel like the players. He's had enough time with them for us to kind of play the way he wants. Which is a very dynamic attacking 4-3-3. Therefore, he said he doesn't like doing it, but he's more like we're reacting to what other teams do rather than just going, we're going to play this way and we back us to beat you. Which sounds a bit defensive, but I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Like until the players really know each other and they can pull off the moves that Richie wants, you kind of got to be a little bit more stable. You don't want to give goals away. So yeah, we are playing 4-3-3. We're equally playing three at the back a lot. We've played 4-5-1 on occasion when we're backs against the wall. So I really don't know how we'll line up because while you guys haven't started well, based on the summer and the feel good factor that's I'm sure has come back into the club. I'm sure you're going to be up there by the end of the season. I'm sure you've got a good team. So and it's obviously at your place. So all factors that I think we're going to take the game very very seriously and. Yeah, expect a fight. So I honestly couldn't predict how we're going to line up. We'll have to wait and see.
It's interesting that you mentioned there about Richie sort of coming out and saying that he wants to sort of be adaptive to an opponent rather than putting his own style on there. Obviously, with Richie's obviously been there for a few years now, and I know you had quite a high turnover in players, but the fact that they're still sort of maybe adapting to opponents, I find quite interesting. As a fan, are you comfortable with the fact that you're going into certain games saying that obviously I know in football to a certain extent you need to be adaptive depending on the opponent, but as a fan, are you comfortable with sort of Richie being so open and honest and come out and saying, look, we're going to adapt and try this and try that rather than trying to implement a style of play?
Yeah, I'm happy with that because I think that's almost the sort of lost art of management. I look at Amorim at United. It's like, well, this is the way we play, and come hell or high water, it's like, well, sometimes if sometimes you have to adapt and you have to work with what you've got, and if you haven't quite got everyone up to speed on the way you play, then you've got to put solidarity first. Especially away, it's like make sure you keep a clean sheet, and then you're going to get at least a point. So I'm with Richie, and I think give it another month, then we will be much more on the front foot, and those players will know each other. And the best moments of last year was when we were playing one touch stuff, and you could just see players would play passes without even looking up. They knew where their teammates were going to be, and we had that sort of understanding. And that's not quite there with us yet. Um, you often see a few passages of play where just that millisecond where they're like, is that guy over there that I want? Not quite. And then milliseconds are everything in football. So in Richie we trust. I mean, he's not let us down yet. So ever since he joined, he's been a fantastic manager for us. So yeah, if that's the way he wants to play it, all good with me.
Oh, fair play. Who's the name that Reading need to watch out for? Is it Josh Koroma, or have you got another name up your sleeve that Reading need to be careful about?
Well, obviously, I wouldn't want to give too much away for the scouting, but yeah, I think Connolly is kind of the key. He's since we brought Ballard in a couple of games ago, he's now playing in the 10, where he can get much more involved in the game um, and sort of create things. So yeah, really, it's a toss up between him and Koroma. They're both incredibly creative, um, and in fact, I suppose I said Connolly, but the sort of the smash and grab win we got against Port Vale. The most impressive thing about it was the 95th minute. We had not had a kick the entire second half, and Connolly went on this amazing run. But he played the ball into Koroma, and Koroma at that point he barely touched the ball that half. Could so easily have just gone for goal. It was a tough angle, but he could have done it. He waited, played this lovely ball. It was almost reminiscent of Pele to Carlos Alberto in the 1970 final. Played the ball into Charlie Wellens, who kind of gone on the overlap. And it was just like, what a mark of a kind of class player to have the composure in the 95th minute to play that pass and not be selfish. And we scored. So I'll go Koroma. He scored most of our goals and he's got most of our assists, and he just seems very happy to be back with us, which is great because it's lovely. We came up through the ranks of us, and yeah, it's lovely to have him back. He just seems very happy. So yeah, Koroma, I'm going to go with.
If I had to push you on a score prediction, what's the score prediction going to be for Saturday?
Or I mean, I've got to be positive. And funny enough, I think we played you guys around the same time last season,
Yeah,
you
that
guys.
kind of started your run, didn't it? Upwards.
Yeah, I went to that, and we didn't play very well. We sort of dug in, and Charlie Kelman scored a goal, and it deflected, one of those. And we won 1-0, and I would be very, very happy with a repeat of that. So I'm going to go 1-0 O's, but I'd probably take a point because it's a away game, good team.
And looking at the season overall, obviously you lost the playoff final last time. We've mentioned there's been a high score turnover. I think I can tell you were expecting the same, but where will Orient finish the season? What's kind of the aims as for your season overall?
I would love seventh would be amazing. I'd be very happy with that. Um, I'd even, yeah, we had a lovely cup run last year, so I'm not really expecting that this year. I think, yeah, if we can finish in the playoff spots, that is absolutely job done. And I'd even be happy with top 10 because we got a new sort of, I suppose he's our owner, but we kept the board on, and he's been very much in the background. But David Gandia sort of came in as a majority investor towards the end of last season, um, and he's just subtly given us that extra bit of money. Like for instance, El Mizouni, we've got him on a 3-year deal. We've got Ballard on a 3-year deal. 3-year deals were very rare for us for the last sort of decade really. So therefore, it's kind of like, were we to finish ninth, 10th, that's kind of fine because I feel like we'd have the base for the season after. Not to be too long term about it, but yeah, that's so seventh would be fantastic, but I'd be happy top 10.
And I will say, I kind of wish you were hoping to finish seventh last season after obviously with us and you lot. I haven't actually mentioned it yet, but yeah, you guys really kind of killed our final day of the season because there was all this sort of feel good momentum. We announced the owner before kickoff, and I think you went 1-0 up after 2 minutes away at Huddersfield, and we were all like, ugh. But to be fair, seeing how it turned out for you guys, in a way, I'm kind of happy I didn't have to go through the full heartbreak of losing a playoff final. So, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
how
Sorry, you pointed out my number error there. Yes, obviously I meant sixth when I was talking about seventh.
I,
last place of the
I was
playoffs.
just making the point in general about us wishing that we finished seventh. I wish we got into the playoffs, to be honest with you. But hey, neither here nor there. We look forward onto this season. Thank you very much for joining me today, Dave. As you said, you're hoping for a 1-0 win on Saturday. If I'm honest, I'd take a point against you guys. You're a really good side. I'm expecting both of us to be sort of in that seventh to 10th mark this season. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Reading fans, drop us a like, subscribe below, and come on, you ours.